Hey guys, Paul here. Welcome to RDTV. Thanks very much for tuning in, and we're back with another token drive video, and this time we're in RaceRoom Racing Experience. We've got the upcoming Porsche Carrera Cup 911 964 that's coming to RaceRoom very soon. It's a beautiful spec cup car, and we're going to take it round the German Nürburgring circuit and give you a bit of an idea of what we think of this awesome piece of upcoming content. So, without further ado, let's get trackside and see what happens. Okay, before we get started, let's have a quick look through some of the liveries that come with the car. Now, there are a host of real-world racing drivers and teams and liveries within the DLC. I think there's 35 off the top of my head in total. We've set the grid for this race to 26 because it's Nürburgring, it's short, it's tight, it's twisty, and that's more than enough for our purposes. But as you saw very quickly on the screen, looping behind me, there's some beautiful looking colour schemes, very 1990s and perfectly in keeping with this car. But enough of liveries, let's get trackside and let's go motor racing. Very tight and twisted track, starting P6. We've got the AI difficulty level set to 100%. Got manual gears. It's a H pattern box on this, of course, so heel and toe will be our friend throughout this race, while also trying to race the other cars and not contact some of the many protruding barriers that are ever present at the Nürburgring. And this is a car, it benefits from the gearbox update that Sector 3 brought out a little while ago, as I get a little bit late on the brakes and we have a little bit of contact, but we got away with it and we're up to P4. Happy days are here again. Yep, this car benefits from the new gearbox technology that's been brought into RaceRoom Racing Experience. So as such, shifting is massively critical in this car. You'll notice, I am sure, during this video, more than one occasion where I mistime a shift and have to have a second bite of the cherry, which can be a little bit exciting when you're looking to use the engine braking on the downshift to slow you down into the corner. So this could go well or it could not. We'll see how it goes. And made an overtake then. I didn't even plan to do that. I didn't even know I was doing that. So P3 already. Okay, might have to moderate our pace slightly so as not to run away with this one and have a boring video with no track action. So I'm gonna spend a few laps, not quite running flat chat, and I'm gonna let these two cars in front of us have a battle while we have the best seats in the house. But while we're doing that, I want to talk about the shifting in this car and the new implementation, shall we say, of the gearbox coding in RaceRoom Racing Experience. I think it's made a massive difference. It really has brought alive these older H-pattern cars to the point where now you really got to think about what you're doing with gears. It's not a case of just mashing through the box. You've got to come off the throttle when you're going up gear. You've got to time your clutch and your blip of the accelerator when you're going down the box as well. It's a really satisfying experience, and in a fairly easy to drive car that this 956 is, it adds another layer of happy times. It's a fairly low power car, I say fairly, it's considerably more horsepower than my road car, but in the grand scale of things it's not a Le Mans prototype or a Grand Prix car. It's a touring slash GT slash cup type machine, so you're not hanging on to the steering wheel in order to keep it on the track, which is fantastic. It's a very compliant car. It's got a nice front end. The engine's obviously over the rear because, hey, it's a Porsche. It's rear-wheel drive as well, which is the type of car all racing cars should be. But because it's not massively roaring full of horsepower, it's well behaved. It turns in where you want it to turn in. It says as he misses the apex. It behaves as you'd like it to do, and the weight slides, the rear traction loss is very gradual, is very you can understand what the car's going to do, and you can put countermeasures in place for it as well. So it's a really easy car to slide and control. Obviously you don't want to be sliding, because sliding is not fast in a circuit racer. But if you do step over and above the limit that the car's capable of, it's not that difficult to get it back under control again, which is wonderful because it allows you to keep the majority of your mental capacity together in order to keep a good racing experience, to provide some nice, clean, on-track battling. You've not got to use the vast majority of your faculties to keep the car on circuit, and you can concentrate on what matters, and that's having a clean, fair and reasonable race with those around you. I can see this being a very, very popular online car to race against other people with, because it just encourages good, hard, there we go, missed my first gear. Good, hard, close, clean racing. At the end of the day, that's what we're all in this for. But at the same time, it's not a boring car to drive, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's a really enjoyable driving experience. Now, I've got a direct drive wheel, OSW, SimCube direct drive wheel. I've tweaked it a reasonable amount to get the feeling that I want in RaceRoom racing experience. Although I've not gone to town, there's still certainly some capacity to do a better job there. But the way the force feedback transfers to the wheel in this car, for me, is absolutely exceptional. Now, I like RaceRoom. I am a fan of RaceRoom racing experience. It's got its detractors, and I can understand why those people feel as they do, and it's got its fans, and I can understand why those people feel as they do about it. But I'm going to try, and I know I err on the side of being a little bit more optimistic than pessimistic, but if I'm trying to be unbiased, or I'm trying to be fair and free of preconceived ideas, and I think about this car in the context of the other cars that are available in RaceRoom racing experience, I would have to go as far as saying, for me, as I go a little bit too wide and touch the outside wall, this is arguably one of the finest cars in R3E. Full stop for me. Now, I like this kind of car. I particularly like this this particular Porsche anyway, so that helps in my enjoyment of the sim version. As the guy goes up my inside, so I will run wide and allow him to avoid any shenanigans. There we go, have it, my friend, let's have a good race. But yet, this is an excellent job. The job that the physics guys, that Alex Hodgkinson's done, and anybody else who's involved in that side of the business, is just first class. Now, I will say something I do need to add. I'm driving the private beta version of this. I'm not even driving the public release candidate yet. So there is absolutely potential for this car to change before it hits version 1 release. So one of the things you'll have noticed straight away when we looked at the liveries, when we loaded the car up at the beginning of this video, there were no driver images. So that's one thing I'm sure that will come as part of the public release. But also, it's very possible there could be changes to the audio, the 3D model, or the physics of the car, or the AI, because it does seem to be a little teeny bit slow around here. So please take this video with a pinch of salt. This may not be the exact version in which you lay your hands on, there we go, another mischief, when the time comes. But as it stands, ooh, there we go. Have to be careful then, you see. Lose your concentration for a moment and you will touch some barrier. Yeah, so it may well change when the public bill comes, but for me, for my money, and my ignorant layman's perspective, it's absolutely beautiful, peeps. It really is absolutely first rate at this moment in time. And as I say, in my personal opinion, your mileage, your preferences, your tastes will vary, but in my personal opinion, this is my car of choice for RaceRoom racing experience. And when I say things, I've never driven pretty much any of the cars in R3E, so I can't judge authenticity, I can't judge realism. I can make my judgments based, when I say things like that, on two things. How much fun, another misgear, how much fun do I get out of it? And if I was to show a friend, this is the acid test, if I had a mate up who liked motor racing, I have plenty of those, that don't like or know about sim racing, and I wanted to show them R3E and say, look, this is sim racing, this is the sort of thing I enjoy and I do, and I spend all my time engaging in, and I wanted to pick a car that would show off our beautiful, beautiful virtual hobby in RaceRoom racing experience, I'd pick this. And there we go. That, for me, says it all. I think it's brilliant. Now, some people might not like it, might not be fast enough for somebody, might not be wild enough for those of us that fall in love with Group 5 cars, for example. Might not be wild enough for you. But for me, it's beautiful. I think the cars look gorgeous. I really like these 911 Carrera Cup 956 cars. They ran in the various national championships between 1990 and 1994. So that's the, I think it was the Mobile One Super Cup, it was known at the time, which is a championship that runs to this day, supports the Formula One World Championship and a wide variety of racing events. I think 94 was the first season that the international, so to speak, Super Cup category ran. It also ran various different national ones as well. The main, of course, because it's Porsche, the main championship being the German Porsche Carrera Cup Series, which still, again, to this day, remains one of the strongest of the Carrera Cup championships. So this car ran from 90 to 94 in that series, ran in the debut championship of the Mobile One Super Cup as well, and a lot of big names have driven in this car over the years. As I mentioned again at the beginning of the video, Bert Mailander, who's probably best known nowadays for being the safety car driver in Formula One, a guy that's pretty much guaranteed to lead a Formula One race at least once every year. Mailander won the, I think, forgive me if I'm wrong here, the 1993 German, or 94 it might have been, German Carrera Cup Series in one of these cars. But there's also been other big names, been Roland Ash, Uwe Elsen, spent some time in one of these. Everybody likes Uwe Elsen, one of our favourite German racing drivers behind Smoking Joe Winkelhock. He spent some time in one of these cars as well. And for years, as I forget to change gear and have to rapidly put my hand back down from scratching my chin, it's been a mainstay of Porsche, this championship. And this has been one of the finest exponents of that series. A really beautiful car. It's got a whole mouthful of a name in the 911 Carrera Cup 964, but confusing naming strategy aside, for me this is one of the most iconic shaped cars in the whole long and illustrious history of the Porsche 911 brand. It looks pretty much the same. Looks pretty much the same as the modern one, and the same as ones that went before it. But for me, I am stoked to use an American phrase, I am stoked that RaceRoom have brought this car to the sim, because it's I love it. Porsche, for years, as I'm sure you all know, I'm preaching to the converted a little bit here, but Porsche for years have hidden behind exclusivity contracts when it comes to bringing their cars into a wider breadth of racing games and racing simulations. And that exclusivity was lifted not many years ago now, and it seems like everybody's jumping on the Porsche bandwagon. But what I've found is they're all broadly bringing out the same cars. So awesome that Sector 3 Studios and RaceRoom have decided to bring this car, which is not as widely picked from the list of different cars that the other sims have used. So it gives us something a little bit different, as I try very hard to stifle a burp in words. Sorry about that. It's nice that Sector 3 have chosen a different car than what everybody else has been running, basically. And I think they've made, as I miss another gear, there we go, watch out for that, Paul. Luckily, I've got mechanical damage turned off, otherwise I may be looking at a very poorly 911 now. But yeah, really cool that Sector 3 have done that, so thank you. And we all are probably in agreement. Not very often you'll get sim racing fans to agree things all together, but we're probably in agreement that Sector 3 and Anthony Montreal, apologies Anthony if I pronounced your surname wrong, produce the most standout audio experience in the whole of sim racing or car game driving land. And it's no different here. These cars sound beautiful. So I'm going to shut up for a minute. Guaranteed, by the way, when I do this, I'm going to miss a whole bucket load of gears. I'm going to shut up for a minute and let you listen to my heavy breathing and the sound of this beautiful motor. So listen to this. First miss gear. Hey dear. Never mind. Right, shut up, Paul. Let the people hear the engine. And lo and behold, as I did that, I missed 2 gears. Oh man, I am a useless noob when it comes to stuff like this. The second the camera is on me, I think, yes, I will forget everything I've ever known and drive like a dome. Hey, listen. So I've got all my gears, but I've missed my braking point. I'll stop that game now, otherwise we're going to end in a whole bag full of concrete barrier, retirement, and disdain from the sim racing community. Miss another gear. Snatch it very quickly before I have to turn in. Take my word for it, folks. He just sounds awesome. Let's leave it at that. Take my word for it. It sounds really, really sweet, as all RaceRoom cars do. Because Anthony is a magician when it comes to audio in sim racing. Really is a magician. Sound amazing. I wish it wasn't late at night, then I could drop my earphones and just listen to this through the 5.1 speakers in all its audio glory. Comes as no surprise really. It's pretty much not even worth commenting on video how nice it is. And I've already kind of touched on the physics a little bit, but I want to go back, whoa, as I get rear-ended. I nearly break my wrists. Fine reverse, field checks up behind me. Unsafe rejoin penalty for me. Well, there we go, that really hurt my wrists. I got rear-ended and that's punted us down a P5. And there's a bit of a gap. So now it's time to open it up a little bit and let's see what we can do. Bit leery there, but we're all good. Yeah, I want to talk about physics a little bit more and the way the car behaves. I've already said it feels like a very compliant car in that it turns in. It's got a really nice nose, really turns in well into the corners, and for the most part, some of that's down to the big thick racing slicks, some of it's down to not being endowed with masses of horsepower. The rear end is fairly stable, but it's got a lovely twitch under braking. Watch this, see if I can try and do it. I can just miss my braking point altogether, that's even better. Oops. Wind that lock on. And we've been passed again. And we're in the wrong gear coming out the corner. But it's got a lovely lack of stability when you start the beginning of the braking zone, especially on a reasonably bumpy street circuit like this, as we try and get a switchback, but it defends is inside. And I really like that. It's really alive and moves about when you go on the stopping pedal. And that's a lovely bit of character for the car. It's fairly planted on this one. I must have broke fairly stably there. But it's got a really nice behaviour under braking. And it's also got a really nice, I can feel, I don't know if this is in part to do with my wheel, because it's a very nice wheel, it is direct drive, the Sim Experience affair that I'm driving here. But it's got a really nice feeling of the car movement on the suspension and on the tyres. I really feel like I can, because I miss another gear, I really feel as though I can understand what it's doing. Take it round again, Paul. Why not? Let's throw all the hard work of this video away. Starting to lose my voice. Excuse me. We're not re-recording this though. I'm going to leave as is. So it's been a messy race. My tyres have gone now, having sent it backwards twice. I'm starting to struggle a little bit. But I was saying, despite the fact that I'm spending time telling you how I can feel exactly what the car's doing while spinning it, it does feel really nice. You can feel what the car is doing underneath you to a point that I've not quite felt as strongly before or as prominently before in other cars within RaceRoom. I think a lot of that is down to the fact it is an older car, so it's on more basic suspension than, let's say, GT4 cars that came out quite recently. It's a lot more softly sprung, so the suspension is doing more, there's more travel, the body is rolling more than is the case with some of the more recent vehicles in R3E. But it just feels to me a mixture of those ingredients I've spoken about and the fact that Alex Hodgkinson, who does an awesome job with the physics in RaceRoom, is learning more and more with each car release and is fine-tuning his art and his craft more and more with each car. It just gives me that happy glowing feeling that yes, this is my favourite car in RaceRoom racing experience for sure. And I hope you guys will enjoy it as well as much as I do. It's the kind of motor that you just want to keep racing and racing. I mean, when we had that spin at this corner a lap or two ago, that was purely down to the fact that the body roll got the better of us. The momentum, the pendulum effect of the car was just too much for the grip of the tyres that we got available. And even with early opposite lock and a bit of modulation of throttle and or brake or both, ain't ever going to save it, because the pendulum effect is going to far outweigh what you're capable of doing. And that's really well represented. I knew that was going to happen as soon as the incident started, because I can feel what's going down with this car in the tyres, in the suspension, as I say, as I miss another gear. And it's a masterclass. It's an absolute masterclass. And to reiterate again, this is a beta version that I'm driving, so there is room for this to get even better by the time it comes out. That's lovely. I felt the car then, as we opposite locked it, going over a little bit of a crest. It got a little bit light on me, but I could do something about it because I could feel it rather than having to wait for a visual prompt or an audio prompt for the tyres due to lack of detail in the wheel. I've got that detail, I can do something about it, and that's beautiful. So it could be hands up, it could be down to the fact it's an older, more softly sprung car as well. I'm certain that's got an element of it in the feeling that I'm getting, but yeah, highly impressive the way this car comes across when you're driving it. It's beginner friendly, but it's exciting to drive for the more accomplished racer, and I reckon it's going to be a very good car to do battle out on track amongst other people with. I really do think it's going to be popular, is this car. And then lastly, we've only got a few seconds left before this race is over. Let's talk about the 3D model. Very nicely done. The cockpit is by RaceRoom standards very nicely detailed, looks good, everything seems to be in order in comparison to the real world car. The liveries are beautiful and again very intricate, very well done, so you've got a whole load of choice in the offline racing experience, which frankly you need with RaceRoom because you can't paint your own liveries in this sim, unfortunately. So variety is your friend for sure in that regard. And yeah, there's not really a lot I can say about the 3D model. Usual standards, very well done, very well put together. Let's fire it up his inside, see what we can do. Am I brave enough? No, he's going to close his line down, but I give him a little love tap, say, get out of it, sunshine, this one's mine. I'm taking 5th to the flag. And for a race where I was going to back off so I didn't steal away into the lead, we somehow managed to throw it all away. Well done, Paul. Anyway, I hope you like this video, guys. I hope you like that corner as well. That's the racing line you take. Yeah, I hope you like this video. Please do give us a like and a subscribe on our Twitch, YouTube channels. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Visit us at RaceDepartment.com as well, where we have news, opinion and discussion from real and virtual racing. I've been Paul Jeffrey. This has been the Porsche 911 Carrera Cup 956. You've been watching RDTV. Until next time, so racing's awesome. Catch you later. Bye bye.